Week 33. So, Annie Ernaux is a French writer who won the Nobel Prize for Literature in 2022. And, um, as I oftentimes do when somebody wins the Nobel Prize, I went and bought what I could find of hers at Barnes& and Noble. Um, and this is one of them. This is called Do What They Say or Else. And this is the second novel that she published. And you can see these few pages, how it's basically just a block of text. There are paragraph breaks, and all the sentences are, normal length sentences, but it is very much this block of text. It is a stream of consciousness account of a girl who is, I don't know, 14, 15, and she is going through the kinds of changes that one makes going from middle school to high school, going from, sort of a connection to herself as a child to thinking of herself as growing into an adult. And a large part of this, as you would imagine, involves things about the body. So there is something of an obsession with sexuality and with her genital and with her menstruation as well. Um, so, but this is not done in any kind of prurient or pornographic way. We are very much in the consciousness of this young girl, and when she talks about these things, they're things that she owns. They're part of who she is and part of what she's trying to understand. What does it mean that she wants to do this with a boy? What is she going to get out of it? You know, what is this part that she has and that her other girlfriends have? And and how does that relate? What does it mean to grow into this consciousness? She's beginning to have certain kinds of conflicts with her father and certain kinds of conflicts with her mom, specifically about, boundaries and telling the truth and about what the future holds for her. And she wants to respect what they want for her, but at the same time, she wants to chart her own path. And so this is the kind of contradictory space that Erno is writing about. And, it's written in 1977, or published in 1977, I should say. It's her second novel. And apparently, over time, Ernaud grew into a more uh, autobiographical kind of flat, objective kind of language. But here, she's kind of experimenting and playing with that form. And because of stream of consciousness, it doesn't necessarily have a straightforward linear plot, although it does occur in a linear way. And there certainly are developments in the character who's named Anne, or Annie, by the way, as this character grows into things and learn things about herself and about her parents. There's some class issues going on here too, because both of her parents are very much working class. Now, I don't know very much about French school at the time, but apparently at the division between middle school and high school, you pretty much were going to go into the trades or going to go into continuing to learn like we do in high school. And this is a division point, and it's based a lot on how one does on a series of tests. And this girl, she does well on these tests, and so she's not going to go the trade route. She's going to go the education route. And this is a big achievement for her class standing. And so it gives her an aspiration to a class above her parents, which her parents support, but at the same time they don't understand it. And so, at one point in the book, she's reading The Stranger by Camus. And there's nobody she can really talk to about this because how are her parents going to understand this intellectual look at what happens when one makes this, fatal decision the book is about and winds up, in jail contemplating the existential ironies of life and absurdity of life, as Camus was wont to do. Um, there is no one she can really talk to about this. And this is pretty much the case about all of her life. She has certain kinds of desires. And although she does have a friendship with a girl or two, and she can go into some of this, there's a limit to what she can really talk about. In part because she kind of steals the boyfriend of one of them. Or does she? Is it really her? Was it really the boyfriend, or was this guy? Did this guy make a conscious decision to dump one girl and pick up the other because he thought she was easier, or because he was more attracted to her? It's hard to say. The idea of actual physical attraction to these boys is almost alien to what she's talking about. It's almost as if the sexuality is just like, the thing that happens. It's not that she's desireless. She has desire, but it's not necessarily she has desire for this sexual release. It's something else that she seems to have desire for that these moments with these boys seems to give her. Um, and although there are some brief moments of description these about how she sees these bodies uh, and how she feels about the actual physicality of the sex, it's not really the focus. In fact, it's so much not the focus. There's even a vagary at certain points about how far she went with different boys, and later on in the book, she even like almost kinds of forgets or reimagines how far she went with these boys because she herself is so far removed from it that it seems to no longer matter. There is one boy who she kind of sort of um, gets a little more attached to, but then she, for reasons that aren't really, and that's the thing. I mean, we're in her brain, and you would think, okay, so we're going to get explanations for everything, but we don't because this character is something of a mystery to herself. So she'll do something, and then she'll not really know why she did it. And she'll even go back inside of herself and start asking why she did this, what was going on there, what happened. So this boy who she kind of forms something of attachment to, she kind of, on the whim of the moment, seems to cheat on him. And again, I'm using vague language because the language is kind of vague, and also because I'm talking here about the sexuality of somebody who is, um, a teenager who's still a mid-teenager, and I really don't want to go into any explicit detail about any of that, and the book doesn't anyway because that's not the point. The point is not the event that actually happens. You're probably thinking, oh, why could it not be? Because it's just not. It's not the event. What is important is how she's thinking about it because she's confused. She knows that adult women have asexuality and she knows that they have careers and she knows that they have other things and she's trying to sort through these things herself. She's trying to sort through politics. Um, a lot of her political conversations happen with these boys who are typically older. Some of them are 18 and some of them potentially a little bit older, which potentially could be disturbing. But then again, let's bear in mind this is 1977 France, and it is, although highly suggestive, that this is semi-autobiographical, not in the sense of her actual life, but based on events that could be real, sort of a reality effect here. Um, 1977 France, things were conceivably a little bit different on some of these scores. So let's not dwell too much on that kind of thing. But the point is that she doesn't quite understand uh, um, what's going on here with these political conversations, and she wants to be involved, but she doesn't know how to. And part of it is, remember that class division. Her parents are working class, but she's not going to be. She's going into a higher class than them. And so she's struggling with how that relates to these issues about unionization and about anti capitalism and socialism that she's hearing from these boys. And that's the other thing, too. She doesn't understand why she wants to be with these boys. She doesn't understand why they want to be with her either. And there is one point where she's talking with this boy about whatever she's talking to him about. And then she realizes she's got like an hour before she has to go back home. And so they initiate the physicality, but it's not like either one of them, quote, wants it. It's more just like this is the thing that happens at this point, and okay, okay, now we've done it, now whatever. In fact, that event turns her off, and she's actually somewhat disgusted. You know, there's also some, not a lot, but some obsession with her body being perhaps fat and gross. Although you don't get the sense that she's really struggling uh, with weight issues. It's more of a self-directed hate. So the last thing I want to talk about is the title. Do what they say or else. Who are they? What do they want? How do they tell you? What's the or else? What happens if you don't? None of that is clear. And that very ambiguity, that very confusion is where this girl is at. She doesn't know who they are. She doesn't know what they want. She doesn't know. She's getting voices. She's getting their voices from subtle cues around her, like the old man who pervs on her and her friends, or, her relationship with her other girlfriends, which is a combination of kind of wanting to one up each other, but at the same time wanting to confide in each other and wanting to trust each other, but also being in this kind of competition for the boys or for attention. And she's also, she's just not sure where she should be and what she should do. And the book ends with the possibility that she's pregnant. And what's interesting there is I have a feeling that if this book just ended with her being pregnant, it would just be a kind of pathetic, stupid little cautionary tale that, well, since 77, we've seen many times of, oh, girls need guidance or they're going to get pregnant, blah, 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 blah. But that's not it. At her age, she is always already pregnant because she's about to become a woman. She's about to grow into adulthood, and she's pregnant with the possibility of what that involves. And I think that's what Ernaux is talking about there at the end, because I think if she was talking about pregnancy, she would mention it. In fact, the girl goes to a doctor who specifically gives her a diagnosis for her lack of a period that is completely unrelated to being pregnant. Now, could this doctor be under delusion? Could he be trying to save her from embarrassment? Hard to say exactly what's going on there, but the point is, it's not mentioned specifically. And I think that that is critical to what's going on here, because I think it's that sense that she is becoming something, but this overwhelming sense of enclosure, of dread, of something closing in on her, of this do what they say or else, do what they say or else, even though we don't know who they are. We don't know what they're saying to her specifically, but they're putting pressures on her to conform, to be what other people want her to be. And she doesn't even know what that is. And she wants to be who she is, but she doesn't even know what that is either. And I think she does a remarkable job. Not obviously being a 14-year-old girl. I don't know, but my strong suspicion is that there are many young women who would identify very much with the kinds of pressures this girl is going under and probably see this as a very raw and open look at some of what goes on inside their heads. I don't know. It'd be interesting to see. Its reception was pretty good, but this is not seen as one of her groundbreaking works. Those come later in her career. So, well, I would recommend it. Absolutely. It's a short read, slightly over 100 pages. And even though it is, you know, no, no real paragraphs, no real dialogue, it's not difficult prose. It's pretty straightforward. There are themes that are obviously a little bit adult. There is some language that would not be for everyone in here, but she doesn't dwell on that. It's in there in pieces, but it's not how she normally thinks. She just uses some of these dirty words as a shock thing or in reference to what she's heard from other people. It's not really her own language that she's using when she uses those words. She's sort of like testing them, seeing is that the word I'd want to use for this. But I would definitely recommend it. Good book.